the sun was the beam and says, maybe we got to sit on the marrow.
He said yes, but we
He
don't
was
have
found.
it. We don't have it. His soul
I'm going to stop right now. You want to give me a note?
Are you by yourself?
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Join me. Hine matovu manai, sheberachim gam yachad. Hine matovu manai, sheberachim gam yachad. Hine matovu, sheberachim gam yachad. Sheberachim gam yachad, hine matov manai, sheberachim gam yachad. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody. As you can see, it's me and you. Which means together we get to bring Shabbat to each other. Obviously, I'll be singing, but I hope you will be as well. And let us really just feel the holiness of this time and of this sacred act of coming together as a community. I invite you to join me on page 127. At the bottom of the page, let's just read this introduction to Shabbat. Please join me. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope. For Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living. For Shabbat memories, glowing even in darkness. For Shabbat peace, born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessings, O God. Turn back a couple of pages to page 121. As we prepare to welcome Shabbat, we pray, O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary, this sacred space, both real here and virtual. Bless all of us who enter in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. facing page, you'll see the blessing for kindling the lights of Shabbat. I'm delighted to call upon Ronnie and Charlie Hollander. Come on up.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu b'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
You wish, let's sing that together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And turn the page. Let's be prepared for Kiddush.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all were ready. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Microphone for Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei v'briyan haolam.
Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho v'ahava u'ratzon v'nechilanu zikaron ha'aseh b'reishit ki hu yom tehillah l'nikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim ki banu b'chavta v'tanu kidashta b'kol ha'amim b'shabbat kodecha v'ahava u'ratzon imchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Man, that's so long. Good job. Let's turn together now to page 138. We'll turn to the words of the Hyde. Because it's just me, I can ad-lib a little bit and remind you, some of you may already know this, but the words of Lachadodi, this shir, this poem, which were written, as we know, in the Kabbalistic times in the ancient Jewish city of Tzfat. The poem was actually an acrostic. That's the part you may not know. If you take a look at the first letter of each verse, so verse 1, it's a shin. Verse 2, it's a lamed. 3, it's a mem. 4, it's a hey. That together spells the Hebrew name Shlomo. And if you were to keep going, it's Shlomo HaLevi, who is the poet who wrote these verses. So although we're not reading aloud, singing aloud, all of those verses, I think it's nice to know that the poet uses them in Judaism. Words and letters have almost a magical quality. By embedding his name into these words, it's as if it was a second prayer within the prayer. So let's join together. Lechadoti likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachu b'dibur echad, yishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shemo tiferet v'vitimah. Lechadoti likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadoti likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, ki ba'orei, kumi ori, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai alai nikra. Lechadoti likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadoti likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Invite you to rise. Let's greet Shabbat together. Wohi v'shalom ha'ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, toch emuneh am segula, wohi chala, wohi chala. Lechadoti likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadoti likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. So with that song, we have the impression that Shabbat is here with us. And so this poem gives us the view of Shabbat as a bride, as an honored guest, and we have just greeted her as she's walked in. But in truth, she's not visible, right? So how do we know she's here? Some of our sages say we can look for evidence of Shabbat in each other's faces, in the glow that we bring, in the smile that we share with each other. So that's your task right now. Find Shabbat in somebody's face and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. With that, let's turn together to page 146 as we are called to worship. We celebrate the growing days of light, just as we celebrate the arrival of evening each night. Please join me, page 148, this prayer for the evening and for light and darkness. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'dvaro ma'ariv ha'arim, v'chokhma poteach she'arim, v'tvuna meshanei itim, machalif et hazmanim, mesader et hakochavim, v'mishmeroteya barakia kerzono, borei yom v'layla, v'lel or mipnei choshen mipnei or, ma'avir yom u'mevi layla, v'mavdil ben yom u'vein layla, Adonai tzeva'ot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yivoch aleinu v'olam v'ayim, baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv ha'aravim. Ahavat olam, everlasting love. You offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, eternal God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them. For they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Elohei Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Be seated. Please join me. בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך ובשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, am kept. Page 157 at the top. Let's join our thoughts together as we say, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternal in Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands and marching together. La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'emi Madonna, mi chamocha ne'edah kodesh, norati lo Norati, Malechutecha, Ra'uvanecha, Bokeyayam Lifnei Moshe Miriam, Zevi Anu V'Amru, Zevi Anu V'Amru, Adonai Lo Le'olam Va'ed, Adonai Lo Le'olam Va'ed. And as we turn to that extra prayer for the evening, we pray, sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect. The song of God's miracles on earth protected and cherished. A gift for children and generations to come. The song of a land once ravaged by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed. The song of peace. Baruch atah Adonai Aporei Sukkah Shalom Shalom Aleinu Ve'al kol amo Yisrael Ve'al Yerushalayim Ve'al kol amo Ve'al Yerushalayim Shalom. Baruch atah Adonai Aporei Sukkah Shalom Shalom Aleinu Ve'al kol amo Yisrael Shalom Aleinu Ve'al kol amo Israel. Celebrate Shabbat together. You know this part. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat L'asot et HaShabbat L'dorei olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat L'asot et HaShabbat L'dorei olam. B'nei b'nei Yisrael Oti le'olam, Oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat L'asot et HaShabbat L'dorei olam. Ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat L'asot et HaShabbat L'dorei olam. U'bayom hashvi Shabbat vayinapash, Shabbat vayinapash, Shabbat vayinapash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat L'asot et HaShabbat L'dorei olam. Turn together now to page 164. And remind yourselves that we are invited to pray as if everything depends on God, but also to act as if everything depends on us. If you're able, please rise and if you love. Adonai Sefatitita Uvia Gita Hilatecha Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'megli Kibula Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shelo Be'ahara, Melech Hoser U'Moshiach Magid, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Abraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Kibor Le'olam Adonai, Chayei HaKol Atah Ra L'Hoshia, Mashim HaRuach, U'Mori HaKashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachami Rabbi, Somech Noflim Berofek Olim, Umatir Hasurim, Umekayem Be'emunato L'Shemei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Tevurot, Umidom Hela, Melech Nemi, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'aman Hata Achayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah Kadosh, Shemcha Kadosh, U'kedoshim b'chol yom, Yalu Chasela, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Be seated. Join me on top of page 173 in this prayer for Shabbat. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. May this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh Shabbat. We'll turn together in a moment to our prayer for gratitude, page 177. But the first prayer we said we begin Shabbat in gratitude. So let's feel some gratitude together. I am grateful that I was able to have a few days of vacation. It was Paola's spring break this week, so we escaped for a while to Newport, Rhode Island, which was a bit chillier than expected, but still beautiful and wonderful to be there and to be there together. So that has kind of lifted my spirits and sustained me. Anybody else want to share anything that you're feeling grateful for? Large or small? Daniela?
My young son is getting married in 2 weeks.
That's awesome. In 2 weeks, I'm going to repeat just in case folks at home can't hear. Daniela said her younger son is getting married in 2 weeks. So an early mazel tov and maybe a fully joyous occasion. Who else? Yeah, Dennis.
I played tennis today. I won the first set 6-2. I won the second set 6-1. And the third set was a 3-3 tie when we stopped.
And that was on enough, right? I think it's remarkable.
Enough.
You're getting a good fist bump. So Dennis said he played tennis and had 2 winning sets and 1 tie, which to me is fantastic. It's a beautiful day to be outside too, right? But how'd you manage with the wind?
You were playing inside.
Never mind. Silly me. Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else? Jody.
I actually got to see both my sons together this weekend.
Wow.
That was really nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jody said she got to see both her sons you said together.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's one of those like rare occurrences like a lunar eclipse or
One's in
something.
Albany, one's in Boston,
And they came together.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So with those blessings to guide us and whatever ones are in your heart, let's read together. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, atov shemcha, v'lachad na'ed l'otot. Shalom Rama, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rama, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki hatahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki hatahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rama, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rama, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael, b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rama, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rama, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. From the words of our mouths, the words we've sung and spoken together, let's turn now to the meditations of each of our own hearts as we offer up our prayers in silence. So you bravely beg your libi v'fanecha Adonai Adonai, Tzuri, Adonai, Tzuri, V'Gadi, Let's take this opportunity to offer up a prayer for healing. Thinking of those people we know in our own circles, in our midst, friends and family, as well as those who are ailing everywhere. Let's pray for their health, their healing, and their well-being. Tonight we pray for Jamie Lippman Abish, Eileen Andat, Ellen Bassick, Benjamin Menachem Frank, Carolyn Barone, Miriam Shulamit, Bat Bela, Jane Bernstein, Arnold Locke, Dennis Brenner, Jack Cases, Nora Correa, Luciano DeRico, Toby Domash, Pamela Dorman, Susan Zietzik, Janet Newman, Kelly Fink, Arthur Fisher, Judy Fisher, Michelle Fisk, Evan Foster, Barbara Goldberg, Sandra Goldberg, Florence Goldring, Stephen Goldstein, Jean Gormley, Elise Grace, Lee Hawley, Marilyn Heckler, Ruby Hirsch, Enid Hirsch, Matthew A. Hood, Dacia Horowitz, Phyllis Horn, Stephen Israel, Toby Israel, Christine Jacobson, Danette Jamal, Louis Kaufman, Rita Kemal, Tatiana Kotunyak, Esther Kruchevsky, Sandy Lay, Gail Levy, Robert Mandel, Robert Mannix, Barbara Massey, Susan Miller, Ashley Moranti, Adam Moranti, Anna Rachel Bat Miriam, Machal Zahaba Bat Miriam, Shmuel Yitzhak Ben Nissan, Patrice Newman, Nora Tzipora Bat Ilana, Andrew O'Donnell, Ellen Earlman, Sophia Palladino, Esther Parker, Ellen Perlman, Gerlinda Pescatore, Helga Pfeffer, Ben Filch, Rabbi Lester Polonsky, Dean Powell, Carol Ryder, Jan Rhodes, Julie Rosenberg, Laura Rosenspan, Renee Rosenthal, Jamie Rudick, Sylvia Rubel, Adele Schoner, Charlotte Miriam Schnapp, Edmund Steiner, Faye Strobel, Rhoda Strobel, Tova Batshifra, Arlene Iris Wisson, and Jeff Young. And to their names, I invite you to add others, for others for whom you wish to pray. Craig?
Erica Abrams.
Side. Robert?
Ellen Epstein.
Thank you, Ron.
Steve Schiller and Frank Sicoli.
Thank you, Mel.
I'm Kathy Britt, living with friends.
Holy One of blessing be with all of those whose names we've mentioned, as well as those we are holding in our hearts. And bring them each to their own healing. Let's join together in these words of prayer, page 371. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishera imotenu, Mekor Abraham, Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal So, rather than turning to this week's Torah portion tonight, I wanted to open up a little bit of conversation about some current events. And so to do this, I have a handout. Those of you who are here, I printed up not quite enough copies, but almost enough. So you may want to share, or just make sure that you have a copy in front of you. I'm going to start them around right now. Thank you, Lisa. And for those of you who are joining us virtually, there is a link on the YouTube with this same document. So if you are brave, you can find that link and just click on it and hopefully still be able to be part of this. I'm also going to do something a little bit unusual, which is that I am going to turn my phone ringer back on. And I'm doing this not because I'm about to have a phone call, but this is an invitation for those of you who are joining us virtually. If there's something you would like to contribute to the conversation as we go on, text me, 917-912-1553, and I will add your comments to the conversation. So I have entitled this conversation, Fighting Hatred and Protecting Democracy. And I'm presenting this as, obviously, anti-Semitism is something that we know all too well, is present in our midst, is on the rise, and it is a problem. And for many of us, we also see the erosion of democracy as a concern in our own country, this week in Israel as well, and throughout the world. And so the question that I'm going to pose for you is, can we do both? And how? Okay? But I'm not going to ask you for your opinion yet. Let's take a look at some sources first, and then we'll get there. So the first page, where the title is Fighting Hatred and Protecting Democracy. If you don't already know about this organization, I want to introduce you to the SCN, also known as the Secure Community Network. It is a nonprofit, and it calls itself the official safety and security organization of the Jewish community in North America. Okay, founded in 2004 under the auspices of the Jewish Federation and the Conference of Presidents. It's a central organization dedicated to our safety, to the safety and security of the American Jewish community. That's what the SCN is all about. So when Donald Trump had won the presidency but was not yet inaugurated, the SCN sent a letter to then President-elect Trump calling for action against non-citizens who materially support terrorism and threaten Jewish Americans. It's a longer letter. I'm just quoting a little bit of a paragraph about it and then a paragraph from the letter. So I'm going to read it out loud just in case you don't have access to it, those of you on screen. So this is written by the SCN director, the CEO, Michael Masters. And the letter, this is descriptive now, the letter highlights recent incidents of violence and threats targeting Jewish Americans, including arrests of non-citizens planning attacks or expressing support for foreign terrorist organizations such as Hamas and ISIS. And these incidents underscore the urgent need for enforcement of laws like the Immigration and Nationality Act, which prohibits granting visas to or admitting individuals who endorse or espouse terrorist activity. So here's a paragraph from the letter. It's the last paragraph in this first section. This is to, as I said, President-elect Trump. The moment you are sworn in as the 47th President of the United States, on January 20th, you have an opportunity to protect the homeland, enforce the laws, and expel any non-citizen alien who supports terrorism. This includes those who have taken to the streets of America and on our campuses, in support of designated foreign terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah. The safety of the American people will be enhanced if you take action. Okay, that is the SCN's statement, and this was, as I said before, Trump became president, but it is clearly a strong endorsement of strong action to keep American Jews safe. Okay? You may already be having reactions. Hold on to them. I'm going to get your comments in a moment. But let's look at some of the other texts too. The ADL, which is an organization I am betting most of, not all of you are familiar with, the Anti-Defamation League, also an organization that fights anti-Semitism and tries to educate people as well as fighting anti-Semitism. So, as no doubt you know, recently a graduate student on the Columbia campus, and I just lost his first name, it's Mahmoud, right? Mahmoud Khalil, was arrested and seized by ICE at night, taken from his apartment, and arrested and imprisoned. Mahmoud Khalil was clearly one of the main protesters in several of the pro-Hamas protests that took place on the Columbia campus. He's part of an organization, I can't find the acronym in front of me right now, but it's Columbia, I don't even know if it's just students, but in favor of Columbia's divestment from Israel. It's an umbrella organization of 70 different groups, and he was one who was a protester who has been accused of saying some pretty awful things against Jews, and many of you know the situation on Columbia's campus and Barnard's as well has been challenging, to say the least. Right? So Mahmoud Khalil was arrested, that was Trump who initiated and authorized that. And the Anti-Defamation League, I did look on their website, they did not actually have a statement there, but there is a statement on social media. Right? So the CEO, Jonathan Greenblatt, noted Khalil's role in the Columbia anti-Israel activity, which, these are facts, destroyed campus property, disrupted students' education, and broke laws. And also, he asserted everyone's right to have their case heard, evidence examined, and be treated fairly, which is fundamental to our system of justice. So in the statement that he released this Monday on social media, the ADL said that they, and here's a quote, firmly believe there should be swift and severe consequences for those who provide material support to foreign terrorist organizations, incite violence in support of terrorist activities, or conceal their identities in order to harass and intimidate Jewish individuals and institutions with impunity. That last piece about concealing identities, many of the protesters in these marches wore masks, so I think that's what that refers to. Okay? So those two organizations, the ADL and the SCN, more or less are on the side of strong action and vigilance and strong measures to detain, arrest, perhaps deport anybody who is causing violence, and particularly violence against Jews. Flip the page over, and we get the counterpoint. So I want to present this to you as well, and then I'm going to stop talking, and I want to hear your thoughts, okay? This comes from an opinion piece in the Boston Globe. It was modified today. It may have come out yesterday, I'm not sure, but this week anyway. Rabbi Jill Jacobs is the chief rabbi of an organization called Trua, which its tagline is the Rabbinic Voice for Justice. I think that's it. So I'm gonna read pieces of this. The whole page is kind of long, so I'm gonna try to skip around a little bit, but to give you an idea of what she says. She says, there's no question that campus protests at Columbia and other universities have included serious anti-Semitic incidents. I've spoken with students and faculty members at Columbia, my alma mater, and elsewhere who have been harassed for wearing kippot or other visible Jewish symbols, who have encountered swastikas or graffiti reading "Death to Zionists" and "Death to Jews," and who have been pushed out of clubs and campus spaces for their refusal to disavow any connection to Israel. Columbia University Apartheid Divest, that was the acronym I was looking for, QUAD, the primary organization behind the protests, has openly celebrated violence against Israeli Jewish civilians and distributed material glorifying Hamas. Okay. I'm going to skip the second paragraph, not because it's wrong. Well, I'm going to read it. I have also spoken with students who took part in campus encampments, including Jewish students who joined out of a sincere desire to end the war in Gaza. Columbia, like any university, should both allow for free speech on campus, including anti-war protests, and resolutely address episodes that cross the line into anti-Semitism, according to its own code of conduct and disciplinary policies, just as it should take action in cases of racism, homophobia, Islamophobia, or other bias. It's reasonable for Jewish students, faculty, and staff to demand that school administrations do more to ensure their safety on campus. There's the controversial part. Trump, she says, is now using the Jewish community as a wedge to dilute free speech protections, control university curricula, and override immigration law. For some in the Jewish community, the short-term gains of shutting down anti-Israel protests may seem like a worthy trade-off. But in the long term, the weakening of democracy will make Jews and others less safe. Once a government establishes the power to shut down discourse, it tends to use it to silence any critics or opponents. Rather than protecting Jews, she says, the Trump administration is fanning the flames of anti-Semitism by attempting to pit Jewish communities against others. Historically, anti-Semitism has thrived by making Jews into scapegoats in moments of political, cultural, or economic instability, conditions that this administration's policies threaten to produce. Anyone committed to stopping the alarming growth of anti-Semitism must recognize that Trump's administration's attempts to use the Jewish community's legitimate concerns as a pretext for undermining democracy, and must reject attempts to drive a wedge between Jews and other Americans. The most important way to protect democracy, as well as the Jewish community, is to work together to ensure a strong democracy for all. I know that's a lot of words. It's a mouthful, and it may not be what you came prepared to talk about tonight, but I imagine that you have some reactions to these writers. So my question for you is simply the title again. Fighting hatred and protecting democracy. What are the trade-offs we're willing to accept? What do you think makes sense with the case of Mahmoud Khalil, as well as in general? So I'm going to turn on my nice portable mic, and the floor is open. Charlie.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I like Greenblatt's response when he talks about what I think is the most important part, that everyone has a right to have their case heard, evidence examined, and be treated fairly. It's fundamental to our system of justice. You take those things away, and you begin to descend into tyranny. And so I think that while I certainly don't agree with Khalil, he was not provided anything resembling due process. They took him away in the middle of the night. That's scary because it has echoes of 90 years ago in Germany, and sent him to Louisiana. So I was very disturbed about that. Now, in terms of what Rabbi Jacobs wrote, she actually, it's ultimately is very similar to Greenblatt. I think when she talks about the most important way to protect democracy is to work together to ensure strong democracy for all. And we do that by complying with the law, giving people due process, so that you get a result that you would like, but you get the result fairly and legally. I basically agree with the rest of her statement, I have to say. And I'm very worried, and have been very worried about the Trump administration and his minions, and what they're doing, because to me, as a bit of a student of history, ultimately, they come for the Jews. And so this is not a moment to just say, oh good, he's getting rid of people we don't like. That's going to be, it's a slippery slope that does not lead to good result.
Thank you. Thank you.
After reading both of the opinions there and the rabbi's commentary on it, I've got some mixed feelings on it. Certainly the schools need to crack down on hate speech. They need to do that within the guidelines of whatever the rules of the school are. Columbia has their own rules and so on. But when a student violates them to the extent that this person has, certainly expulsion should be on the table for that. Criminal charges, we're drawing now a fine line between hate speech and criminalization. Okay? We still have freedom of speech in this country. Okay? Where do we draw the line to say it's hate speech to say it's against the Jews, but it's not hate speech if we say it against a different ethnic group? Okay? I think that the colleges need to do more to protect all groups, not just the Jews. The Jewish people, certainly the Jewish students, are the most obvious ones, the easiest low-hanging fruit to pick on. Anti-Semitism is not dead, not even close to being dead, as much as we would love to say it is. Certainly not to the extent it was back where our parents were in their 20s and 30s, but it's still alive and still simmering below the surface. College campuses are no place for hate speech. I think that the solution, though, is education, not criminalization. Okay? I think the current Trump administration is using the backlash against the hate speech to say, well, hey, we're now going to use this as a pretext to get rid of whatever we don't like. Today it's the Hamas supporters. Tomorrow it'll be another group that they don't like, and so on. I think that the solution's got to be somewhere in between. And I think that the rabbi's response to it really hits that tone. Okay? To look at it and say, hey, we need to determine what is a crime and what is just people saying what they feel. As much as we may hate what they feel and it makes us sick inside, we still in this country have the right to say it.
Thank you. Thank you. Lisa.
So I want to agree with everything Charlie and Jeff said, but I just want to focus on something Rabbi Jacob said towards the end about anyone committed to stopping alarming growth of anti-Semitism must recognize the Trump administration's attempts to use the Jewish community's legitimate concerns as a pretext for undermining democracy. I'm also worried he's got a lot of not nice Jewish guys in his administration. And I see the scapegoating coming when things start to go downhill. And the atmosphere is there. And I always have these debates with a very Orthodox cousin of mine on WhatsApp back and forth and things. And what I find alarming is that the Orthodox community overall just follows Trump like sheep because they can't focus beyond what they view as he'd be good for Israel. And they don't seem to recognize the threat in their own country. And I just think we as a community, because we're so divided, I'm talking among the Jews even, we're just going to be caught off guard when all this just comes to a apex or whatever. So I just wanted to mention
Thank you.
So in going over these articles, or these, what you cited, usually I agree with ADL, Greenblatt, I think he's great. So reading this, then when we got to the Jill Jacobs article, something hit me with what she said. It's not just the part about being a scapegoat, he's using us to cause division, but the other piece that hit me, he is just, all those Venezuelan alleged crime people got sent to El Salvador.
Yeah. What's with that?
They had no hearing either. And they, having been here, had a right to hearing. So another piece, what came into my mind, compare this to the people from January 6th who attacked the Capitol. And they were convicted, they had due process, they were put in jail if the court found them guilty, and oh, Trump freed them. Why do we have such a difference? He's trying to undermine democracy, and this scares me. So that just triggered that comparison.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see Brian, and then
Oh, Craig, I'm sorry.
All right, so while you were talking, I typed out the thing because I have a lot of thoughts on this. But
This is a student, friend.
so specifically in regards to the ADL and the response on this, as most of us are most likely aware, at Trump's second inauguration, Musk was giving a speech and he performed a gesture that, to anyone looking, was very clearly a Nazi salute, a say hail, etc. While mainstream media tended to cut away from him in that moment and show the crowd, but there was certain video clips that ended up spreading online of it because he did in fact do it. That became one of, if not the first scandals of the second Trump administration, and as a result of that, the ADL decided to issue a statement about it. They were very apologetic towards him, claiming that it was a quote-unquote awkward gesture, and citing Musk's supposed history of Zionism. However, outside of the Zionism and the supposed support for Israel as a political entity, Musk also has a very, very extensive history online of spreading anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, citing not only the Jews doing bad things, but also dog whistles such as globalists, lizard people, etc. And given his pretty well-known history of these things, especially for people who supposedly are prominent in the spaces where they're fighting anti-Semitism, I don't think I trust the ADL in particular to stand up for Jewish interests, especially in the United States, as opposed to just people who claim to be Zionist. And I want to trust them and that they will protect us as Jews here, but I really don't. Because I think that they prioritize Israel over American Jews, and regardless of whether or not that's the quote-unquote correct thing to do, that doesn't matter if we're directly suffering because of it. And we also have a situation where simultaneously anti-Semitism is undeniably on the rise. But at the same time, I feel like we also have an increase of people who are claiming they're facing anti-Semitism, when in reality it's just pushback on various things and these people happen to be Jewish. And that's two opposing problems that you can't really solve at the same time. But here we are. And I really don't trust the ADL in particular to be able to thread that needle.
So, Craig, last comment. I'm getting you the microphone.
My bachelor's degree is from Columbia. I graduated in 1986. Columbia has always been a bastion of demonstrations. Back in the Vietnam War, At one point during the Vietnam War, Colombia had to call in 1,000 cops to stop a demonstration. When I was there in 1985, Colombia allowed students to lock up Hamilton Hall. That's a liberal arts classroom building. It's been in the news, you've all heard of it. The students were protesting apartheid in South Africa, and they were urging Colombia to divest from companies like General Motors or Coca-Cola who had investments in South Africa. I go to the Columbia campus once a year for an alumni reunion. When I went to the reunion last May, I noticed that the campus was beautiful, everything was well maintained. The reunion lasted 3 days, and on Friday night, there was a demonstration on the campus urging Israel to get out of Rafah, and Columbia did nothing about it. They sent us all an email, but Columbia is private property. It's not a public university, and they should not have allowed that there. There's no First Amendment right to take over private property. And in terms of Khalil, I love Israel. And I've been there twice. I will defend someone's right to criticize Israel. Since October of 2023, 2 clients of mine who knew I was Jewish criticized Israel. I debated them, but I don't mind. I don't think they were anti-Semitic. And just because you criticize Israel doesn't mean that you're anti-Semitic. As far as Khalil is concerned, I could argue that case either way. He's in the U.S. legally. Hamas is an officially recognized terrorist organization, but what was he doing? Is he giving money to Hamas? Is he shielding Hamas members and infiltrating the U.S.? I don't think so. Now, the demonstrations at Columbia, some of them did involve illegal activity. They took over Hamilton Hall, and the police had to go in there to arrest people. Did Khalil urge it? Did he solicit it? I don't know. But right now there is, as some of you have said, there's hate speech is wrong, but at what point are we saying something is hate speech when we're simply criticizing what Israel is doing? I love Israel, but I'll defend your right to criticize Israel's policies. And I may debate you, but I'll defend your right to say something about Israel that I personally disagree with.
Thank you. Thank you all for this really rich conversation. And to be continued. I think in my mind, I'm going to switch the microphones now, so let's see on screen can see me too. One of the biggest dangers we face is the temptation to make everything black and white. And it is very easy to criticize people who are anti-Semitic, of course, right? There's clear reasons for that, right? But it is important, I think it's imperative, that we read, that we think, and that we develop nuance. And we're not all going to agree all the time, but I do believe in democracy. I tell you that Rabbi Jill Jacobs is somebody I admire very much, and the Trua organization, you should know, has issued an open letter inviting clergy to sign it, demanding that Mahmoud Khalil be given a fair trial, and it's a long list of Jewish clergy, rabbis, and cantors who have signed that document. And at the same time, we know, I don't know if you know anybody who's on Columbia's campus now. Craig, I appreciate your bringing in kind of real time. I have a daughter in college. She's not on a campus at Columbia right now. But it is frightening to be there and to see the rise in anti-Semitism. And so we want to protect and we want to save, and we need to demand that. One thing that so let me just say also that the ADL has received a whole lot of criticism. Ryan, you're right there with others who said when they've read the ADL's response both to Khalil and to other incidents, they said, oh, it's as bad as anything else, we need to just stop supporting the ADL. I'm not quite there personally. One of the things I appreciate that the ADL has done is they've issued something called a anti-Semitism report card, where they actually, you can look up a college campus and it gets a grade based on the climate for Jews there and how the administration is handling what's happening. I think that's a very useful tool, and it is helpful for us to have these conversations. Let me see if that's somebody from our home audience. It is. I'm not one to write off a whole organization that quickly, but I do strongly support most, if not all, of what everybody said. So Barbara Silverman has a comment which I'm going to read and share with all of you. And she says, Mahmoud Khalil becomes a hero to his followers, especially with a pregnant American wife, and speech at American universities are controlled by withdrawal of funds. Both are effective tools that enhance executive power. Yeah, so I think we have to be on the lookout for that kind of erosion of democracy in any way that it comes. And to make sure that our own concerns for safety for ourselves and our children don't fall prey to being used as weapons to that. Because I do think that democracy is what has enabled Judaism to thrive in the United States. And we need it. And the way that we can continue to have it is by joining hands with others and protecting democracy, looking at the long run and not focusing on the individual issues. So anyway, much more conversation could be had. I know there's a gazillion other points and tangents. And I encourage you to keep talking with each other, and we'll try to find ways to keep having conversations as a community as well. With that, it's Shabbat. If you turn to page 586, you'll note that our Olenu prayer provides us with a little nechemta, which is to say a little bit of comfort. We don't end our service in despair. Olenu tells us there is a hope for a time when the world will be one, when there will be peace and God's name will be one. Please rise for me. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas. Light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and we pray of peace. Seated as the ark is thoughts turn now to those who departed this earth, our own loved ones, those who were friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race, every nation, whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. Let's remember them all. Let's give thanks for the lives that they led and the legacy that they leave us. This week we mark the yard-sides, the anniversaries of the passing of the fallen beloved. And remember tonight Louis Berland, the father of Bonnie Love, Samuel Saul Cohen, grandfather of Martin Cohen, Susan Cohen, sister of Marty Cohen, Sadie Furtick, friend of Betty Ann Friedman, Frances Fox, mother of Mindy Daniels, Alfred Lubeck, grandfather of Stephen and Alan Gill, Benjamin Herwood, father of Mary Sloan, Jack Paynes, uncle of Lisa Silk and Luba, Sadie Pepper, friend of Lois Marcus, Frances Rubin, mother of Gail Feinstein, the cousins of Charlotte Schnupp, Sarah Sassoon, David Sassoon, Liliana Sassoon, Moshe Sassoon, Rivka Sassoon, Yaakov Sassoon, and Yeshua Sassoon. Yetta Schwartz, grandmother of Marilyn Schwartz, Alexander Lawrence, father of Brian Hollander, and Morris Weitzman, husband of Myrna Weitzman. Anybody would like to share with us an additional name of someone you're remembering? I invite you to do so now. Go ahead, Barbara.
Sutton Blair Schletter.
Thank you. Zichronam L'Bracha, may the memories of our beloved and the righteous everywhere continue to bless us. Let's turn to page 598. I invite you to rise as together we remember them all with these sacred words. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach v'rutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayei chom v'yamei chom, v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalah v'zman kariv v'yinu amen, v'yehei shmei Rabbah v'barach v'alam l'amei amaya, v'yitarach v'yishtabach v'yita'ar v'yitramam v'yikaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalah, shemei d'kusha b'richu, La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran b'yalma v'yimru amen, yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'roma, u'yachaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol yoshvei tevel, v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'roma, u'yachaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. You may be seated. So, as we are talking about the importance of preserving democracy here in the United States and in Israel, it's a good segue to remind everybody, as I know Arnie is about to, that we are in the period of the World Zionist Congress, the WZC Congress, which gives us the opportunity to add our voices to those preserving Israel, preserving democracy in the state of Israel, amongst other things. Arnie's going to tell us more, as well as being our BEMA officer for our announcements tonight.
I wanted to thank the Rabbi for a very stimulating service tonight. And as the Rabbi said, I have a number of events to talk about, but I just wanted to say something about the ongoing elections for the World Zionist Congress You may have seen from Temple Tikvah an email that came out, I believe yesterday, announcing it, and you'll be seeing others, emails and other kinds of flyers over the next few weeks. They provide information about how to vote, but I thought I might just take a couple minutes just to tell you why it's important. The World Zionist Congress was created in 1897 by none other than Theodore Herzl. And it was formed to establish a home in Palestine for the Jewish people, secured under public law. It's continued to meet regularly and has a responsibility of choosing how to spend more than $1 billion annually for Jewish causes, primarily in Israel. Delegates to the Congress are chosen from throughout the world by Jews like you and me. The United States chooses about 30% of those delegates. In 2025, this year, as the election is going on, there are over 20 different slates of candidates who are vying to represent the United States at the Congress. They represent a wide variation of Jewish groups, from the most liberal to the most ultra-Orthodox, as well as other types of interests. The delegates are chosen proportionally, according to how many votes a particular slate has garnered. So why is your vote important? In 2020, less than 2% of US Jews who were eligible voted in this election. So it doesn't take all that many votes to swing an election. Slates that represent reform and conservative religious groups used to dominate among the US delegates, but this is changing as many Orthodox groups are working hard, have been, to get out the vote among their constituents. So I hope that explains a little bit about why you should vote. And if you want to see Reform Judaism maintain a strong role in Zionist causes, we're encouraging you as a synagogue to vote for the slate that's known as Vote Reform, which represents the interests of the Association of Reformed Zionists of America. And you'll hear more about this over the next several weeks, since the elections go until sometime in early May. May 4th. So now for the announcements. Torah study will be on Zoom tomorrow at 9:15. Choir rehearsal and cardio, core, and more will meet at their regular times this week. On the Mark, Great Sports Show, will meet on Tuesday, March 25th this week, as opposed to Thursday when it normally meets. The Brotherhood has been sponsoring the pre-Passover wine sale, and it's wrapping up this Monday. You can see the lists of wines available on the weekly update, so get your orders in this weekend. Sisterhood is having their Women's Seder on Saturday, March 30th at 12:30 p.m. All women of Temple Tikvah and their daughters, granddaughters, sisters, and friends, which I guess could include me and others, are invited to participate. Please RSVP via the weekly update. Brotherhood is having a trivia contest for the entire congregation on Zoom a week from this Monday, on March 31st at 7 p.m. The Zoom link will be provided on Monday, so you have one more week to watch Jeopardy to catch up on these kinds of things. Please join Temple Tikvah, the Lake Success Jewish Center, and Temple Isaiah of Great Neck, and for the second night of Passover Seder on Sunday, April 13th at 6:30 p.m. And I'm not sure where.
Lake Success Jewish Center. At
the Lake Success Jewish Center. So please RSVP again through the weekly update by April 2nd. And just looking ahead, Friday, April 4th, it's the third grade family Shabbat, both a dinner and service, with dinner starting at 6 p.m. And as always, please check the weekly update for any additional information, and if appropriate, different links, as well as RSVP information for all kinds of events. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arnie. And I wanted to just note that Arnie and Ellen Aronoff are serving as our chairs for the election. So if you have any questions about how to vote, we're going to try to be present with an iPad over the next several Shabbatot and then all the key events coming up. Oh, we are present with an iPad. Ellen is waving her iPad here. So at ONEG, you can go find Ellen and you can even cast your vote tonight. Reform slate is number 3 on the ballot. Tried it and it works. So thank you, everybody. And let's end by singing a prayer for peace. Please join me. Oh, say shalom b'rama. Say shalom aleinu. Be'al Yisrael. Ve'imru. Amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ya'kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ya'kol Yisrael. Prepare for the delicious oneg waiting upstairs. We say, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ha'motzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Well, I wish everybody a happy spring and a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.